chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina Speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you. From national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, what do you know? It's Friday. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sabrina Speaks on this Wind Down Friday. Can you imagine how quickly this week has gone? It's another episode of Sabrina Speaks because we're voices of the islands, conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm your host, Sabrina. And yes, it is Wind Down Friday, but I'm going to be a good one today. I'm going to be good. You see the topics, eh? Tea and tequila, but we're also telling the truth. And I'll be joined by a guest a little later, and you're going to make sense of that topic. But as we do here on a Friday, cheers to the weekend and happy Friday. You don't have to worry about what I in here today. It's just little iced tea. I got fool the crowd. But this episode is proudly brought to you still by International Lighting, and it is a beautiful Friday for them as they continue their celebrations, which, by the way, ends tomorrow. Yes, their 39th anniversary of lighting up Cayman's homes, hearts, and hopes. And today, the spotlight shines even brighter as Autism Cayman hosts their tea and tequila event. Now you understand why I did that. And we're also raising awareness to support the neurodiverse youth across our islands. The anniversary sale, though, by the way, at International Lighting continues until tomorrow. So hurry down to International Lighting, 194 North Sound Road, and check out Edward and the team. You still have an entire hour to see what's in store. Maybe he may throw in something special today for this happy hour special. I don't know. I'm just putting him on the spot. To get your stock up on bed and bags and those nice area rugs. Last update I got from Edward, those area rugs were pretty much almost gone. And I know he had some nice designs. So, we want you to go down there and see what else he has besides what I've been saying here for the past 2 weeks. That's how long he's just celebrating being in business while supplies last. And, the next up is the Christmas holidays. And I'm seeing specials already for that. So why not take advantage of him celebrating how long he's been in business and get a head start on all of the decorating and stuff that you'll be doing for the holidays. So we swipe, sip, support, and celebrate. Let us ask ourselves. Today, we're blending boldness with belonging as we sit down, and I'll be joined momentarily by Miss Desiree Tatum, board chair of Autism Cayman, and a woman whose leadership is really reshaping how the community sees, supports, and celebrate neurodiversity. From advocacy to action, Autism Cayman is calling on all of us to show up. Yeah, not just with awareness, but with intention. And what a better way to do that than through their upcoming event, which we'll hear more about it, and that is Tea and Tequila, a vibrant fundraiser that is as flavorful as it is meaningful. So just a quick reminder, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, my guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general information and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult a doctor or a qualified professional for any specific concerns. Sabrina Speaks disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. And don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. So join in on the conversation no matter where you are in the world. You can call me direct or even WhatsApp. You can also definitely give your comments on whatever social media platform you're on, because we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're there. Or give us a call, 345-936-8255. You can also tag someone who needs to be a part of this discussion this evening. So why not do that? I see y'all. I see every one of you through the corner of my eyes. You're like one of those, you like that mom who has a lot of kids and you see them popping up. You're popping up. That's where you see my eyes going all over the place. But Connie, I know what you're doing, girl. And guess what? We can do, how fitting. Look at this. You want to go down to Cabana? You can get your tequilas down there as well. And some delicious tacos at Cayman Cabana. That goes, their happy hour special goes on until 7. But yep, they got excellent tacos. Yes, they're Cayman style beef. They got fish, they got shrimp, all of that. And you can have a tequila with it. And then you can cheers to the weekend all together. We're going to do it. We're going to do it right here. But let's see who is first to comment. Shaka Zulu, you definitely did not disappoint me this evening. Good evening to you and happy Friday. I see you toasting too. Hi, Miss Rose. Waiting to see you. And it was a pleasure speaking to you today. And I hope you're getting through. Good evening, Connie Bonnie. Happy Friday to you. So hold on. Let me see what you're saying. How you never tell me Jim got upset with me because I went away for 10 days. Now that what you get. That what you get because you didn't get permission from him. Take that. Well, look here, 2 of you don't go into this, because that means you're going to probably go 7 weeks next year. So don't start that foolishness. Okay. No, we can't do without the 2 of you. I'm being honest. The 2 of you. But everybody is important. But that was funny. I smiled to myself this morning when I realized he was gone for 5 whole weeks, Connie. Good for him, though. Hi, Damien. Cheers to the weekend to you, my love. Hi, Marshall. Look, Connie. He's away, but he's still up. He better than you because you went completely off the grid. So take it back. Apologize to Jim. I'm going to cheers to you, Jim, for still tuning on and for a wind down Friday. Good for you. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Jim showed up, Connie. Might be away for a bit longer. Oh no, you can't do that, Jimbo. Oh Lord. Hi, Miss Alex. Happy Friday to you. Hi, Romelia. Good evening to you, my dear. It is a pleasure to have you all here. This is what I love with this show, especially on a Friday. It's a total different vibe. And even though we have a very serious conversation coming up, it's still on a lighter note because we're creating an awareness and we're seeing all the great works that Autism Cayman is doing. And their event just aligns with our Friday. I mean, it wasn't like, well, you understand what happened last week. I just had to accommodate that lady. But if you notice, out of respect, how I closed the show last week, Friday, I just spoke about food. But it really aligns today. And when the organization reached out to me and I heard exactly what the theme of the event was, I'm like, you're in the right place. Wind Down Fridays it will be, because we're all about giving cheers and toasts. I just love to see this back and forth there. I have a red stripe and you go, boyfriend. Wherever you are. That's right, Jimbo. That's right. Maybe in the States, but still hunt down the good old red stripe. You go there. Yes, a kinder, gentler world. I was on a ship and no data was off the grid. I enjoyed it. That's good. That's good. I promise after I shut off this evening, I am going to do that for a couple hours. I got 2 solid weeks to provide content for you guys, and I get exactly what you want. I see what you're asking for. I'm going to have more engaging conversations. You saw how yesterday went, but I still owe it to the youth. I will have a lot of content though, because this is informative, but I like the back and forth based on the topics that we bring. I like when you all are participating. So I will make sure in the 2 weeks that even some of the sus you think I didn't see, Aliano. I get it too, but I just deliver it a little bit different. But it's 2 distinct shows, and I'm liking the feedback that I'm getting. But to fill a gap, because I'm in the media world, I have a responsibility as well on this platform to share it with you. Just that if we have topics which you're asking, the real estate show is going to come. And then there's one, you notice the thing now that some employers now locally are really worried with the bold approach or the aggressive approach in which they're trying to deal with work permits here, and how some businesses are a bit worried. And these are Caymanian businesses that are screaming, that are a bit concerned. I'm gonna use this weekend as well to look into that more, to see if I can get some feedback and to bring you topical discussions and see if we can air it out here. But I've heard your request for different show ideas, and I'm a woman to my word. I'm going to also look at a topic or some information that I got in regards to a particular organization, that there's an individual working there and just being a nightmare to a lot of the young Caymanians and replacing a lot of these Caymanians, firing them. And that is something that I'm going to be looking at as well, so that we can spark the discussion. But yeah, it is quite interesting. We're going to have a very good 2 weeks. I thank you for your support. And Sabrina Speaks is going to deliver. Yep. I see the 2 of you. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Good to have you here. Now, this morning I'm going to do my share for our guest, this missing dog. They're looking for this missing dog. And I just thought it was only fair for me at the same CMR platform to share the information. I'm a dog lover. Everybody knows that. You've seen my 2 gems, Bella and Chance. And this dog is Jasper, is now missing, and he's an older dog. So they're asking for your assistance. Please share this link so that we can get this out and just do our part as a community, because that's how we are here in the Cayman Islands. So I want you all to, and happy birthday as well to everybody for this week that I may have overlooked. And for those of you over the weekend, you're out celebrating, happy birthday to you all from all of us here at Sabrina Speaks. Inspiring. Hello, Miss Sabrina. I'm here. Oh, yeah, I know you are. Not because you don't comment, but I know a lot of you tune in at different times, which is why now you will find me during these podcasts repeating who I'm speaking with and what the topic is about, because I realize people join at different times. And I'm getting the messages, who are you talking about? Or who are you talking to? What are you talking about? And so forth. So I will actually try to remember to do that. I love your outfit this evening. Yeah, thank you so much. It's Friday. Again, I try to dress up funny, call it psych. So look, grab your cup or a cocktail and settle in, because we're going to dive into inclusion. Yes, that's it. We're going to dive into inclusion, impact, and the kind of community that Cayman deserves, because I'm going to be speaking with current board chair. I know I'm bringing her in just a little bit earlier, but why not? It's fun. It's fun. She's here. I'm going to be speaking to Ms. Desiree Tatum, board chair of Autism Cayman, and hear all about this event. Connie, yeah, tea and tequila. What a combination, right? Yeah, but tickets are also available on, they got them on Ticket, where is it? On Eventpros. I was going to say Ticketmaster. Eventpros, you can also get your tickets, but you know what? Let's not take the wind out of their sail. Nope, 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 nope. Nobody delivers it better than the chair of a current board. And it is indeed my pleasure to welcome. Good evening, Desiree. How are you?
Yay. Happy Friday.
No,
I
girl.
wish I brought my teacup.
Yeah. That's how we do it here. I hope you see how much fun we have on this platform on a Friday,
yeah,
right?
I can see that. And I agree. I love the outfit. I
Oh,
wish I
thank you.
dressed up tonight.
Many a times I leave these shows and I will go to a favorite spot if I got cousins or family who just want to go out. But so I'm conscious, even though we toast every Friday, pretty much from the day this show began. And it was a supporter of the show who said, Miss Sabrina, I think you need to call your show on a Friday, especially the Friday, wind down Friday, but it was winding down. Just took it to another level.
Well, I love it. I love it.
And I have to be respectful of the young people that we may have as well. And I don't want to make it appear as though we're
Right,
promoting that, everything in balance. But I got the approval from all of our supporters who've been here from day one. And it is just a total different vibe. Hence, I'm very particular with what topics we cover on a Friday. And we will get, it's just lighter and everything. But your tea and tequila was just perfect. If you could have seen my face when you said it, I'm like, yes. I know exactly what day.
I know. I'm like, I think I'm really there for the tequila.
Exactly. And if you see the reel that I put on Facebook for you guys, I used the song Tequila.
I love it. I love it.
That's right. That's right. Miss Dorothy McLeod is watching from Florida, and we got people even in Australia as well. Good evening, Miss Dorothy. Australia, we got the UK, we got the Philippines. So this goes far and wide, but and that's why I didn't just want to come and talk about tea and tequila. We have you on this space, and it is an honor to actually showcase your organization and to hear more. But for the sake of our audience, I thought it was good for us to just let people know exactly what you're doing, what you're about, get to know you a little bit better, and share what's, personally got you involved in Autism Cayman, and to tell us what the purpose and the mission was of this organization. So why not just get right into it?
I love to be here with you. You were one of the, I think you were there at the beginning, one of our first events. We had the symposium, which ended up being fantastic. That was at the beginning of the year. It came together very quickly with a lot of collaboration, and we didn't expect it to be the turnout that it ended up being.
That was huge.
So we were really surprised of not only just the people who put it together, because it was a collaborative event with a lot of speakers who stepped up and gave up their time to present really important information, but the public. We had probably close to 300 people in and out that day. A lot of families came in. They came in with their children. They came in with it ended up being a family event. And so it really kind of took us back to see that support with such short notice, and being able, because we'd only just launched about a month before that event.
No, you would never have known for the amount of people and sponsors as well.
Right. A lot of sponsors stepped up. So it turned out to be a fantastic first event for us. So I'm really proud of
congratulations.
We've come in such a short time. We launched in January, and we've accomplished a lot for a very small organization.
Wow. That could mean a lot. It means that it was well needed in the community, because we don't even know. And I'm hoping through your organization and all that you guys are doing, that we'll get data on exactly how much households are actually impacted with autism.
So that's one of the things that we have already started working on with the government, is those conversations around data. We have, put out a survey already. We collect data by just having conversations with family. I mean, that's the foundation for where we want to head as an organization. I think it's important to kind of understand the needs of the community. Autism is such a wide spectrum. They say if you've met one autistic person, you've just met one autistic person. And I think that's the thing. We want to ensure that what we do in the community, reflects the true needs
Right.
of what families and autistic individuals or neurodiverse individuals need. And we can, and also the ability to pivot with
Right.
that data that comes in, because that's something that we've already done in a very short time, is as we had initial plans, and as we've had conversations and as collaborative opportunities came about, we were able to quickly pivot towards those needs.
Right.
And I think that's part of the success, as you know, as to why the things that we've done so far have been successful.
Good for you guys. And I mean, for something this new and all of those persons just showing up, putting on events like this, anybody who's been involved with a nonprofit organization or an organization such as yours, you know that one of the biggest challenges is actually getting sponsorship and getting funds in the kitty so that you can impact those households that are really actually going through and living a life with someone, for example, with this type of disorder.
So that's where we're at now. Basically, this neurodiversity, we're wanting it to be an annual event. And the biggest thing is that right now, although we've succeeded in a lot of things, we have done it with very little funding. And we know that if we're able to get more funding, the kind of impact that we can have within the community, because it's important for us to ensure that that funding can go straight back towards the community, and it's actually directly impacting neurodiverse individuals and their families.
Right. Now, how would you describe Autism Cayman's role in the community today, and pretty much what makes its approach unique? We understand it. This is the first of its kind, right? That is directly linked to autism. Am I right?
It was the first, because we've been, as a board, we were together formally for about two and a half years ago. And then we incorporated in February, I think it was February in 2024. So we are the first organization. There was a society some years back. There was a society some years back. And I believe at some point that kind of did not, I'm not sure the history behind it, but there was a society that was initially, they tried to form several years back. So there wasn't a formal organization. But with this was rooted in parents specifically who wanted to come together out of frustration. Looking for that peer-to-peer support, trying to figure out, well, we have all this expertise, within the community. As parents, we have so many different backgrounds, so much different knowledge, but we have the passion and the desire to be the voices for our children. And that's where it kind of just stemmed from, is that just wanting to kind of just take action and say, look, how can we help support our children? How can we advocate for them? How could we be their voices? And how can we share our story so that the wider community has an understanding of what it's like for, autistic and neurodiverse individuals in our community, and that they're heard, they're seen, and that we can then, actually make a sustainable change. That's the thing. We don't want to just, the foundation for Autism Cayman is to build a nonprofit that is going to be sustainable financially, and also just be able to, we see it in the long term that it can outlast, my son. Yeah.
Right. Well, for those persons who are just joining us, you're welcome to Friday's edition of Sabrina Speaks right here on Wind Down Friday. And I am speaking and so happy to be able to showcase this nonprofit organization. And right now I'm speaking with Ms. Desiree Tatum, board chair of Autism Cayman, as we are getting to know more about the organization, exactly what autism is all about, and hear about their upcoming event. We're just about, as she pretty much segued into the next segment of the call to action, but Samantha Maldonado, Autism Cayman are doing a great job. Autism is growing rapidly in our small community, and we need to be talking about it more. And I'm hoping that even though we're here to promote an event, I I didn't feel that was enough today, Desiree. I
Right.
wanted to know exactly what you could share with us in regards to autism, get us to know more about the organization, but to be able to even see what we can do as a community, because it takes a village to
It
raise a
does.
child. And now it goes beyond the person that is actually suffering or have been diagnosed with autism, but it extends to the parents, it could extend to the caregivers. It is
Everyone.
so far reaching. And then society as well, because we need to know how we can include them, how you're able to not make them live a life with dignity and not actually like tuck them away. Because as a small island state, many a times with mental health, we realized what was happening with mental health. It's like it was a stigma. We want to destigmatize all of that, but that only comes from education. So
Yeah.
I'll allow you, please, as we get into this segment where we're asking the call to action, which we're going to dig into that with for discussions, is why now, why Cayman, why everyone is important. So let's look into what really a call to action looks like in practice. You alluded to what you want to do, but what does it really look like in practice when you're looking for a powerful call to action?
It looks like basically inclusion within our community, being a part, not only being a part, but feeling, because you talked about, mental health. I found with my son, when he was little, we learned at the age of 3 that he was, not basically nonverbal, limited verbal. And a lot of times, even in social settings, because of his sensory issues, like he's sensitive to loud noises and crowds, and sometimes he would be sensory seeking. But with that, when he would go to public spaces, for example, I always thought, oh, well, I can't take him anywhere because he's, this is too much for him. But then I realized as he grew older, he would move away. So if we were in a crowded space, he would move away to more quieter spot. But with education and understanding him better, I realized in my own personal story that he does like to be apart sometimes because of, his sensory issues, because of the things that affect him, because of his autism. However, he wants to be a part. He wants to be in the community, even if it's, near, whatever it is, like if it's a group of people, he wants to be at the party, but he might not want to be in the crowd. He might just want to be at the back of the room, but it's important because just like any other child, just like any other person, they have that desire to want to be included, to belong, to feel loved, to feel accepted by peers, to be accepted, in general, and just that need for connection. So there is that need for connection with people who are neurodiverse, and sometimes it can be misunderstood, that they're not wanting that connection because there are, even as I'm thinking back to in my experience as a teacher, sometimes in the classroom you might have a child who on the playground might necessarily go and play with other children, and you see them kind of going off and playing by themselves, but they still want that acceptance. They want to be a part, but they might not have the skills, the communication, the ability to understand how to build that connection with another person, how to make that friend. So I think back to what we were talking about, is inclusion is important, and education is a huge part of that, where the wider public, families sometimes are confused as to what, either the resources, what does it mean? When I found out I had a child with autism, I was clueless. I was like, oh my goodness, I have no history of this in my immediate family. I've never experienced it before. I kind of started I knew a little bit about it because at the time when I found out my son was autistic, I had just finished my teacher training. And so I kind of knew a little bit about it. But I think education, having the public understand that they are different. And it is a lifelong diagnosis. Autism doesn't go away. It could improve. You have a desire for them to have independent as independent of a life as possible. So I think as an organization, we have short-term goals onto what we know we can achieve right now. The educational campaign, being able to, we have 5 kind of areas that we want to focus on, that we want to have an impact, that we've kind of honed in on and said, these are the 5 things that we want to be able to have right now in our community in the shorter term. But in the long term, that goal may change based on data, based on what the feedback is from the community, based on the ability to raise funds. But I think at the core of it right now, we know that whatever it is that we do, it has to have a direct impact to those who need it.
Right. Oh my goodness. When you look at all of that, and just being able to identify it, what do you feel are some of the most common misconception about autism and neurodiversity that, you're working to shift? Because there's one thing, autism, people are trying to wonder where it come from.
Right.
How many people have not even been diagnosed? Because as you rightfully, I'm a class of 1990, and we may have thought back in the day that someone was just shy or they're just weird. I wonder how much have been misdiagnosed that are now adults and trying to live with themselves and just really can't figure out. You understand? That are adults that have been missed.
It's happened. And because of the public awareness, because of education, because of the access to resources for the diagnosis, we've actually encountered a couple of people who've either volunteered with us, who are adults, who've recently been diagnosed, and who've had conversations with either myself or other directors and have said, I've been living with this my whole life. I didn't realize why I was different. I didn't know that this is why I did the things that I did. This is why I was the way I was in school, why I've had issues, in social situations. And then they've recently got diagnosis, and now it's kind of like, okay, what do I do with this information, and how do I access the tools that I need to have a successful either adult life or change the path that I'm currently on? Because sometimes, it ties in again, especially for adults, that mental health component. So I think collaborating with other organizations like the Alex Panton Foundation or even other nonprofits on island is key for sharing that information and giving not just the children, but the adults in our community the tools that they need to be able to have a successful life, in Cayman.
As Samantha Maldonado, just to give you a little break, mentioned here, I've had a very long conversation with Sabrina during the election season, the spots meeting, and one of the points she made was we need to work on early detection, and that is why it was so critical of inviting stakeholders around the table, organizations such as yourselves, and just having a more robust awareness in putting the right skill sets, even in public health, as we go into the community. And this is why organizations and groups like yours were meaningful to that role as Minister of Health, because you all are impacted. Why aren't you at the table? And legislation, just the awareness, and of course, seed funding. It was a no-brainer when I saw persons like yourselves and organizations like yourself made an official request to the ministry with myself, of course, after due diligence is done. It was a no-brainer because you guys take off a lot of the pressure on the government as long as we assist in the funding, get the collaboration with public health, and help to find the joint needs and services to help these households. And you guys are a critical role in our society. And I feel that the public-private partnerships is the way to go. It's the way to go.
And even as I've started on this journey, that's kind of the conclusion I've come to, because I realize how important it is. It has to be a community effort. We have the government on one side and we have the private sector on another side. And to be quite honest, I mean, we have a lot of money here in the Cayman Islands in the private sector, and we have to figure out how do we use this to help the needs of the community, because there's autistic people on this island who are not just local, not just Caymanian, but people who live and work here in the Cayman Islands. And we want to be able to provide and support every individual who is living here and who's made this their home, with
And
help that they
and,
need.
and that word inclusion is key. You have to be a part of the society, being educated, being informed, putting the necessary infrastructures even in place. If we're saying we want to be an inclusive society, should also be, that impacts even planning laws. You realize that, right? Planning legislation.
Right. Oh,
Yeah. Planning. Yeah. If you want to do
yeah.
inclusion,
Yeah.
and it looks at it full
Right.
circle,
Right.
there are just certain things that would
Yes,
have
it's
to
true.
be a must
Okay. Yeah.
from planning as well.
No,
So
no, it's true.
we all have
And
a part to play in
right.
this whole thing,
No,
because we
it's true.
all coexist.
No, it's true, because at the end of the day, you're right. Even physical spaces is kind of a little bit of a for me personally, it's been an issue. Something like a family bathroom, a lot of places do have it, but not every big community space has that option. And that's something that I think there has to be a collaboration, and there has to be those discussions, but not just a discussion. It has to be enacted, and also the action for that to get done has to be done, because people are living and working in this community, families, and these are the kind of things that we need.
Yeah. And if we're going to do inclusion, might as well just do it and do it well. Get persons like yourself around the table. Inclusion Cayman, the dementia and all the Alzheimer's people, everyone, you guys are critical. The knowledge and information that you all have would make policy advisors and legislation pretty much a piece of cake. But how can everyday Caymanians, let's say parents, teachers, employers, be a part of this solution? Because we're all in the call of action here. How can everyday Caymanians, including parents, teachers, and employers, be a part of the solution?
One is just, sharing speaking up. We have people right now typing in and trying to be a part of this conversation, speaking up, using your voice for your children, for your loved ones, for your friends. The other thing is volunteering. We're one of the things that we are a working board. All of us are volunteers. The people that I've worked with as part of Autism Cayman, we have other professions outside of this. This is 100% a volunteer-based organization. We don't have any, at this point, we have no desire to, pay for overhead costs.
Yeah.
Right
You're
now,
building. No,
yes, we're building from the foundation. It's been more of a grassroots type of movement, and volunteers are key. So we've had parents already who've come in and supported us, either by bringing their autistic young adults to our art show that we had early this year. They shared their artwork. They showcased their art. They came and volunteered their time to speak, to be a part of that event. So that's just one example. Even at the symposium, we had young adults using their voices who were diagnosed with autism. So having the voice, volunteering your time, spreading awareness by letting people know, hey, organization exists. I know they have this event. A lot of people work in different companies on this island. Everyone works in a different field or industry. They can help by helping us to, I guess, spread the word that we're trying to raise money so that we can use that for existing programs that we have and programs that we want to build on.
Excellent. Now, what does support across the lifespan mean, and pretty much why is it so critical in our social context? Because there's one thing of getting for an event, but your lifeline is actually for what you can actually connect from events like this. So when you look support across the lifespan, what does that mean in its context here?
Support, as I mentioned earlier, autism is a lifelong condition. It's not something that is going to disappear. It improves, it changes over as the child grows into adulthood through services, through support. But ensuring, right now, it doesn't just end when they leave school, for example. It continues into adulthood. It continues into old age. This is something that is going to impact the lifespan of an autistic individual or neurodiverse individual. And so ensuring that they have the resources and the tools that they need, not just education, but for example, like respite services, resources, therapeutic services and tools and materials, but also so that they're able then to, I think the biggest goal as well, even looking at my own experience with my son, is being able to have as much of an independent life as possible. Right. And just knowing that all of the tools available are there, that you use it, and then you just try to continue to just grow all of the different services that you can, find everything that you can to help your child, help the individual that so that they can have as much of an independent life as possible. And I think even like camp, we did a camp in the summer, and that turned out to be such an amazing experience for families, for myself. It was not just a respite for 1 week for families. There were several of the children that attended that said that this is the first time they'd ever attended a camp. The parents were thrilled that their children were a part of something where they felt that they were safe. They felt that there were people who were there who understood the needs of the children. Because that's important, to have people who have a little bit of a background understanding on what those needs are and how to support it. Because you just don't want to entrust your child with anyone. And that also comes from, being an educator. I understand that, how important it is to families for and especially children who are vulnerable and who do need a little bit of extra support. So things like respite care. I think I'm excited to see where we grow, because look at how much we were able to accomplish with so little and so little time. And, the parents stepped up, and they were either volunteering, but some of the parents even helped us raise enough money for that 1 week of camp for all 10 campers. And that was completely unexpected, but it was a community effort.
That's when the walk.
Yeah.
You can appreciate what you're doing because you're living it every day. Like Miss Betsy Riddick is commented here saying, if Autism Cayman had unlimited resources, would that be amazing? What would you change first within Cayman, and which stakeholders would you reach out to making these changes? If Autism Cayman had unlimited resources, what would you change first within Cayman, and which stakeholders would you reach out to make these changes?
I would love us to have unlimited resources because there's so much you can do with a need that's this big. But I would say that our mindset is, and I think I could speak for the charity and for the other directors, is we know we can't do it all, but we want to do things that are going to directly impact the community. And I would go back to the 5 kind of pillars of what we said we want to do, which is awareness and education, which is some of the things we've already started to do with some of our events that we've hosted. We want to be able to impact training, whether it's in the wider community, but specific training for things like police and security guards within the community, specific autism training, because it's a little bit different than other kinds of special needs training. The other one is community spaces. So being able to have those community spaces include the neurodiverse community, and things like parks is a big one. So parks and other community spaces that, can accommodate them, things like, a public family bathroom, things like that. So we would, and how many did I say now? I'm losing track.
That was three.
Okay. And then the other thing is just being able to do providing resources and tools that families need. Because I remember even with my own personal story, it was so hard to find the physical resources to help my son. So you would end up going to the therapeutics, different centers and the therapists on island, and they would educate you on, this tool might be helpful, and they might loan you some, but just having a resource library kind of available to the public, so that they're not having to, get those resources on their own, that we would have them available for them on loan, like some kind of a resource library. So things like communication, tools, simple communication tools, maybe sensory kind of like toys or resources. So there's lots of things, because the other thing with autism is that a lot of people don't realize is that it's also like, I've heard someone describe it as an umbrella of medical conditions. So you're diagnosed with autism, but a lot of times if you speak to families, there's diagnosis, medical diagnosis under that umbrella of autism. So it could be a speech issue. It could be a sensory issue. It could be something like where a child might have seizures. So there's an umbrella of medical things that come with autism as well. And then, of course, I think I didn't say the fifth one yet. I need to go back. So I see
Betsy.
Betsy has listed 4 of them. And then the 5th one, I think I may need to, I'll have to stick a pin. But
no problem, that's fine. Take your time.
Sorry, camps. And we've accomplished the
camps.
The inaugural, and that wouldn't have happened without, again, collaboration and community support. So every time we've done something, we've been able to, and I'll just say where we've hosted these things. John Gray High School was the first event at John Gray. We had an event at Island Primary. We had one at Montessori West. So, being able to use spaces that exist is key to building on that concept of including these individuals here in Cayman. So I think camps is a big one, and having access to people who are skilled and who understand how to, deal with children or adults on the spectrum.
Jasara is so excited. We haven't even reached Christmas yet, but she wants to find out where she can get information for next year's summer camp.
I'm excited about camps. I'm excited. And the good thing is that because I had to take my son to Colorado initially a few years ago, I've built a relationship with a nonprofit in Colorado, and they have been amazing. They have offered to support Autism Cayman with, knowledge. They've already given tips. They've already, they're willing and ready to go. And they've been doing that for about 17 years in Colorado. So they're quite skilled. And one of the things that that happened over the summer is we weren't intending to do up to 14 years old. We had advertised for up to about, I think it was 6 preschool age. But what ended up happening is we got a lot of inquiries, because we kind of put the question out there, do you have a child that's interested? And we got a lot of inquiries for older children. And we were like, oh, what do we do? We didn't want to turn anyone away. So we kind of hesitated at first. We decided as an organization, okay, we want to include them. Can we do this? How do we do it? We had a discussion. We pivoted. We changed our plan. We discussed it with the school. We'd agreed, let's take all children. And then the next tackle or challenge that we had to figure out was, how do we get them to come to camp where the families don't have to pay for anything.
Right.
And so we worked on that. And thankfully we had a lot of, people within that small group of network that kind of stepped up and helped us make that happen for the families. And so we had a couple of individuals that reached out to us who were adults, but unfortunately, because we already kind of pivoted to up to 14, and we don't have the background knowledge yet for adults, and we didn't feel like we were quite prepared for that. But with the relationship with the charter, for example, in Colorado, they have lots of experience, 17 years experience with not just children, but adults. So this is kind of like where we're hoping that we can collaborate, utilize, help that, build that relationship, so then we could then go ahead and say, hey, you know what, we're actually going to offer something for adults. Now I can't promise it because there's a lot of things, but that's kind of like where the direction that we would like to go in is this is not just going to be for young children, but whatever we do, it captures all individual neurodiversity.
All of that.
Yeah.
Now, Desiree, it's always good to understand it from someone who is actually living this. As a parent of an autistic child, you never bargained for this.
No, of course not.
Tell me how that hit you when you gave birth, only then to receive that diagnosis.
It was shocking.
What was that like? What was that like as a testimonial?
it was shocking. It was very, very hard. It was hard. It was one of the hardest things that I experienced emotionally and mentally, because my story is where Gabriel, my son, he met all of his milestones at all his checkups. And he was one of those situations where you hear that they regress. So he actually had language and he spoke and he had short phrases up until about the age of, like, looking back on it though, there were other little things, but he spoke. And so around 2.5, that's when there was a regression in his language and regression in certain skills that he developed. For example, he loved playing baseball. So he would, he had the T-ball, he was playing at 2. And then all of a sudden, and he played with his cars and he had little races. And then it led to where he would line up his cars in rows and, do all these kind of, like, I guess it was definitely alarming. And when he lost the language, he started what was called, what's a lot of people refer to as stimming, where he'll do like repetitive, like either movements and sounds. So he started to do that. And it really was, I want to say honestly, as a parent, it was a dark time because acceptance can be quite difficult. For me, it was difficult in the beginning. But I also realized very early on that it wasn't about me. It was about my child, what he needed. And I had to just say, you know what? I need to figure out how to get him the help he needs.
You actually had to put yourself separated, but what's in the best interest of my child? I'll deal with me afterwards.
He needs this help right away. And I think sometimes even in having, and it's a personal journey for every single parent. So like, that's another thing that I've become aware of. Whatever I do with my child, like I'm aware that I can't push my ideas or, but education is important. And not just education, but realizing that the sooner you get help for a child who's diagnosed at 3 years old, the better it is in the long run. So even though, Gabriel isn't where I would love him to be, if I didn't start that journey at 3 years old, things may be a lot harder for him now. And, that isn't to say that those who haven't, sought the help and services that they need for their children, at 5, 6 years old, that they cannot progress. You just have to start. And the sooner there's that kind of full acceptance of the situation, in my journey, I felt like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. And I was able then to kind of just get him the help he needs and just to talk about it with everyone in almost every situation, because that's when I realized I'm not alone in this journey. And people started to tell me, hey, did you try this? Did you try that?
You started to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of times in Cayman culture, and I'm Caymanian and I know what it's like. I know what it's like. I'm from Boston Bay, West Bay, and I love my family. But being here, you understand sometimes that there is a stigma to, speaking up about things like mental health issues or conditions that, lead to situations where people are like, oh, that person is weird or different, or that, that's just,
and they're sick. At family gatherings, they just,
All right. Well, luckily my family, I have to say, they didn't do any of that. So maybe that's why I was vocal from early on. Good. But I know it exists here. And it's, going to school here, that's the perception.
Yeah.
And I did go through it for a period of time. So I have to admit, there was a period of time when I just didn't want to talk about it. But I realized that it's not helping my son, and he needs to get as much support. And even though, and at the time, and I know a lot of people will say, well, there's limited support still, right? There's limited support, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's here. So you just have to get the support you need. And that's why earlier you mentioned that public-private partnership.
That's going to be the secret. Yep.
The charity now. And then so we can then build on those gaps and in those areas. And, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
I believe in, I believe in looking at best practices and using what exists and building on what exists and seeing how we can basically just improve on what we have. I mean, we want to do it right now. Like that was the other thing I realized as a
But that's not realistic.
Right. When my son was young, I was like, oh, I'm desperate. I need to get him the help he needs. I need to do this. I need to do that. As he grew, and as I went through this journey, this journey, you know, of being an autism mom, I realized actually that mindset shifted to where he does need it, but it's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a process, and we just have to take the first step, and then it'll be the next step, and then the next step, and then we
one day at a time,
one
girl.
day at a time, one day at a time. So kind of, I think that's the approach that we as an organization have as well. We're going to take one day at a time. We have our short-term goals. We want to accomplish everything, but we can't. So let's see how we can get to where we want to accomplish everything, but at least what will always have a direct impact in the community.
You're being applauded by Samantha. Des is such a great mom. I've watched her journey on Instagram from their beach trips, summer camps, and pizza making.
Yeah, I love Samantha. Samantha is an advocate behind the scenes, definitely. She's been in the background there, volunteering, and I know she also is very passionate about this topic.
No, I know, Des. And again, for those persons just tuning into Sabrina Speaks, it is indeed a pleasure to have you joining us. Even if you're just joining us right now, you can always go back and follow us after the end of this live podcast. But I'm speaking to Ms. Desiree Tatum. She's the current board chair of Autism Cayman. And we are talking and getting knowing more about this organization. It is very new, actually. I didn't realize that you guys had just started when you had that event at John Gray. I didn't realize that.
No, it was a 2-year journey. So for example, the branding had taken about 7 months. And there was a lot of background over those 2 years. So the board had regular meetings every month for about a year. I want to say about a year. There were loose meetings before that, but for about a year, there was regular monthly board meetings up until that point. But in January, we officially launched the public, and then we just hit the ground running. And luckily, there were people who wanted to do the symposium already. And we said, hey, how can we support that? And then that's how it came to be.
Excellent. So, that was a phenomenal event. I mean, it was a Saturday. I know you guys were a little worried because we all know what happens here in Cayman on a Saturday. If you didn't get anything done during the week, you definitely want to catch it between 9:30, 10 and before 1 o'clock because everywhere closes down. And I knew I could see the fear in your face, but then the people kept coming. They kept coming for the top.
And then I got nervous because I was like, oh no, I didn't expect this many people.
You went from one extreme to the next.
It was a roller coaster.
I just sat and took it in, and I was like, I don't know if it by that time, having gone through the position for 4 years, I'm like, she's gonna be fine.
You look amazing. When I looked at you, I felt relaxed. I was like, she's smiling. I'm like, you know what? Everything is all good.
Because I understood the content that you were sharing. I understood, and we had to CMO was there as well. And it was a familiar space, a well-wanted and deserved event, because as he and I were in the community looking at bringing organizations such as yours together and having events like that's based on scientific data. When you're presenting these topics, breaking it down in layman's terms, you got reference points. And that was one of the things I remember one time. Of course, he was on one end and I was on the other. And one of your presenters, they actually had the reference points in every slide, and me and him did the side eye and we did like this. We nod. You're like, yes.
Amazing.
So this is not what that presenter had to say. They're telling you, look, it's been researched. This is the findings. This is how we're going to do it. In Cayman, the teachers are being able to identify it, just how they should be able to identify abuse. We are giving you the tools, the flashcards, key finders of how you can identify these. And then these are the resources or individuals that you can call, and we can then meet with the parents. I just loved it. I really enjoyed it.
And getting that help from professionals, I have to say, as a parent, from a parent's perspective, and even as a teacher's perspective, is important. Now, at the end of the day, you know your child. So that doesn't mean that you go and you just take every advice that any professional tells you, because at the end of the day, you are the expert of your child. But it's important to understand that the early diagnosis is important, and the sooner you can get children into therapy, I believe, even from my own experience, and my child is still limited verbal, nonverbal, and he uses it was a therapist that introduced him to his device. And when he was introduced to his communication device, it was his world. I was ecstatic when I saw his world open up, because then he could communicate, his needs and his wants. Before that, it was really frustrating for him. He would have emotional meltdowns. I mean, now he's like a little wizard on there. He knows he uses it quite proficiently, really well. And it's not where it needs to be. But then again, this is where it was introduced to me. It was through a speech therapist. And also that stigma of, hey, you have to make sure that child speaks. Actually, I did all of that. He was in therapy, every week, multiple sessions, through multiple, different speech therapists. So then I got to a point where I also had to accept that, it's okay that he uses this device. Because as long as he's communicating, I prefer that than him having a crying meltdown. And he can tell me, I want to go to the store. I want strawberries. I want to, go to the park, when he talks about the people he wants to see, or if he's sick, he'll say, I want to be a patient at the hospital. I'm not fit. So those are the things that are key. So, sometimes, even me as a parent, there was a point that was another acceptance, because in my case, it was the communication side of it, which was the struggle. So having the ability then you've tried everything, you tried the sign language, you've tried, you were trying to get him to say the words, and you're doing the traditional speech therapy, but also, hey, let's try this now. And that worked for him, and it made him happy. And he was able then to flourish, and do a lot more things than he couldn't previously do without the ability to in that way.
Now, all of these therapy sessions, I'm quite sure they're probably medications as well, and everything else in between costs money. So you know what? That's why we're here. Celebrating, fundraising, and awareness is what we're doing. So let's talk about, I know we're going to go in, because I'm going to come back. I want to really know what a day in the life of someone who's living with a family member, or in your case, a child that is autistic. I want to know what that is like, because it's almost like tapping into a different world. And where that idea came from is when you said about the ability of you trying to understand their language, and how that particular equipment made it easy for him to communicate in the event of it as being nonverbal. We know that some of the neuro disorders as well in autism is overstimulation with probably lights and sounds, which is quite interesting. But all of this takes money. And congratulations to the NPO, congratulations to your board, all volunteers for the record, but for the far-reaching and the work that need to be done, the awareness that needs to be in the community. You realize it's not just within a household, from educators straight down to our frontline workers, or police, people maybe in the grocery store, because we want these people with this, do you call it a disorder, to live meaningful lives. And if they're at the ability to go to the supermarket, they shouldn't be scoffed at, or what's wrong with you? You having a bad day because you're just not able to identify it. All of this takes money, right? Yes. So let's talk about the tea and tequila. That is an event because we got to get some money here. Desiree, we got to get some money.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Money.
Okay. That was a song I should have used. Money, money, money. What inspired this event concept? Because I'm like, tea and tequila. All right.
Well, we had
where's
tea
we going with this?
We had the tea with the governor earlier in the year. We're like, hey, why don't we do a neurodiversity? And then we're like, you know what? Let's just add a little tequila into the theme for this year.
Maybe
Maybe next year it'll be tea and something else. So no, it's just, we want to have a fun event. It's our first official fundraising event. And, we want to ensure that all the people who come, they have a great time. It's open to, men and women. There's tea, for me, I'm the woman. I love the tequila. So, I'm kidding. Maybe just a little bit.
A little secret there that only shared with me.
Right. So, so just having a fun event, We are looking for, we're hoping to do we would like to do we're going to have a silent auction. So we are looking for, if you want to support, you can buy a ticket through, what is it called?
Eventpro.
You can buy a ticket through Eventpro. For corporations that want to sponsor, we have a sponsorship deck. We would love to partner, for example, with a brand, and we've already reached out to a couple of distributors. So if anyone is looking to sponsor, we would love to sponsor, like partner with maybe a tequila brand. So if any corporations want to sponsor, that would be amazing. If there's people who aren't able to buy a ticket at that time, we would definitely love volunteers to help out and support us in other ways, help advocate, or, help us, with their networks for this event, and just spread the word that this is happening. And then, of course, at the end of it, we just want to there's going to be a giant piñata and other piñatas. So we have a volunteer. She's amazing. She's fantastic. She makes these beautiful piñatas. And so we're hoping to stuff one of these piñatas with some amazing prizes. And the lucky winner will get all the prizes in this giant piñata.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're going to have a live band. We're going to have a DJ. So these people have all volunteered their time to do this. Oh,
nice. Because that's a big killer. Let me tell you, when you got to do something like that. And it's so good when you have like artists like that, and gifts and gift certificates that, people will see giveaways. It's a go back, but it's not something that you have to seed, that you have to put. You're trying to raise money, and then for you to spend it to raise it. Yeah.
Right.
And
so
for the organizations, it's key that, companies partner.
We want to have a fun afternoon. It's between 2 and 5. So if you still want to head out afterwards, you can. It's just that kind of part in the afternoon where you can do something in the morning, pop in for the event, and then still go off in the evening to do something else. And again, if there's anyone in the community that either wants to donate some prizes, or who knows of organizations that would like to make a donation, that would be fantastic. Betsy earlier made a good point. If we had unlimited funds, what could we do?
Right. Oh my goodness.
At the end of it, the key thing for me, and I can speak for the directors, is to ensure that whatever we do has a direct impact,
right,
for those individuals and their families. And I think this could be limitless for us. We already see what we can accomplish in a very short time with the limited resources that we've had. So I truly am excited to see where we can go with the ability to have more of that funding. And of course, just being able to also, I think it's important to have the sustainable financial, we want to have a financial sustainability. So, we don't want to run before, you don't want to run before you walk. So we're walking now, and we're taking those day-to-day steps and those small goals so that we could then take off and accomplish the bigger goals that we have.
We got a Waltero eBanks. I would like to link up via email to put you in touch with my daughter, who is finishing her master's and could relate with you with some programs, etc. So
yes,
Waltero, we posted the at the bottom of the link. We connect at autism.ky. So there you can go right there. I think that's a great way. And look at the space already. Yeah, you see, you got resources and people coming out willing to. That's what we're talking about now.
And you said it at the beginning. You said it takes a village, and that's what we, and that's core to Cayman culture, by the way.
Correct. That's what we are. No, but Desiree, it is true. That is the God's fruit. We actually show up. We have that ability to support. So all proceeds from this event will go directly to support neurodiversity individuals and families. So I said just now, it costs money for all of these therapy sessions and for equipment to help, like you alluded to with your, tell us what exactly that can assist a family who may either be falling on hardships or not enough insurance coverage to help with all of these therapy sessions. I know it can't be easy.
I think right now the therapeutic stuff would be a longer term goal. Right now, it's more of the camps and the community-based inclusive stuff that we would use the money for. We did the first camp. It was 1 week. If we do another camp, we can do every break, or we can do several weeks. The other thing would be, and that's a respite for the families, because then the children, the parent, the families have a break for that week. And the children aren't just in some building. They're actually out in the community doing activities that other kids have access to. You know, every single day we were on outings with these children in the community. They went to the Turtle Center. They went to Dragon Bay Sailing Club. They went to Starfish Point on a charter. They went to horses. What is it? Cayman horse riding with Nikki. There was so many people that stepped up, and they were in the community doing activities that typical children do at camp. And that was key for us. But it's very expensive. So the resource library, like the communication tools, devices, my son has 2 iPads. It's very expensive. Buying the apps is very expensive. So those are the things that we can directly impact with the support of the money. That can go into things like that. So those resources, having the ability to, you know, and we'll grow and we'll pivot as we gather more data and more information from the needs of the community. We are an organization who have so far tried our best to listen and to move in the direction of where the biggest needs are and where the gaps are with regards to the public, the government side of it, and then using that private side to fill those needs.
Right.
So I'm not going to say we're never going to be there, but I think
we don't say never, girl.
Yeah.
We're gonna just blow it through we're gonna shatter ceilings here. And
but I will say it's very expensive, because I mean, just on the 1 week of camp, I've spent thousands of dollars. Our family has spent thousands of dollars sending my son to Colorado to attend a special camp. But it went back into a charity there. And it's the same thing, you know, again, with just like you mentioned earlier, the medical is expensive. So although insurance does cover some things, it doesn't cover everything. Then there's things outside of, you know, like, for example, my son, one of the medical things that we realized he had was gluten, and he couldn't have gluten because he had a lot of digestive issues. So he's gluten-free, dairy-free. And then, you know, when you purchase products like that, it ends up being very expensive.
Right.
So it really is. I don't think a lot of people realize that it's not just all that other stuff that comes with it, the emotional, mental, physical part of it. There's that financial, you know, huge financial
hardship as well. Yeah.
That could have on a family. And it just doesn't impact the parents. It could impact everyone else in the family, because then, you know, depending on where you're at, and you know, here in our community, there's people here who don't have the money for any of the things that I just talked about. So if we can help. You know, that we've talked about maybe having, you know, children attend camp free here, but also maybe somewhere else if we have enough money, that kind of thing. So there's people here who might not have even the things that I've just mentioned that I have been able to provide for my son.
Correct.
So that and being able to say, well, how can we help you? Where is the need?
You can fill that gap.
You can fill that gap. Because, you know, I might be in a situation where I have been fortunate enough to have family and friends that have supported that area, but not everyone has access to that. And that's something to be aware of. So
how can people get involved, whether attending, sponsoring, or spreading the word? Is there an account? Let's say somebody's not going to be on island, but want to do a monetary donation. Is there an account information, or all of this information is on Autism Cayman website? How can persons get involved?
So the best way would be to reach out to connect at autism.ky. And we do have information with regards to, we do have a bank account, so they can make donations through that way. They can support us by helping raise by gifts or certificates for events that we're hosting, like the Tea and Tequila that's coming up, and other upcoming events that we're going to be hosting. So I would say, and even in the summer, we had a sponsorship deck that we sent out specifically for the camp. And that's how we were able to then have the network that we had at the small network,
Mm-hmm.
we're able to then get the funding for those children who needed it. And we were able to then provide them with all of those activities that we had within the community. And it went back into the community because these were all local businesses,
You see?
and so it went right back into the community.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have to say, we didn't even realize how receptive some of these businesses were to this idea. I mean, there was one company that said, hey, we'll actually do some pro bono stuff with you guys.
Oh, that's nice.
Charity, work with these kids if this is the direction you want to go in.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, their local community, their local business, you want to be able to provide, give back. So if we raise money, then that goes back to these local businesses, and then they can continue to build their programs that they have in place for the wider community.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it's important for that fundraising component to happen, because it is going back so far into our community here in Cayman and supporting what we have on island.
Can you give us an idea of what a day is like in the life of someone with a child with autism? What is a typical day like?
It's just like any other family, except it's requires a lot more patience and a lot more coordinating, and in my case, it's required a lot of support. And I suspect that it's the same for probably many families. So you're required to have a lot of support, either through other family members who will support you, either physically, being there for you, helping you with your child, actually paid help sometimes is key. In my case, I have paid help to help me with Gabriel, and for a long time I didn't have it, but I realized how essential it is.
Yeah.
And because they require, even though there might be verbal, there's still a lot of areas, either medical, physical, even children or adults who are verbal, they require a lot of support and guidance. And sometimes you, as a working parent, most people that I know, they have jobs, 9 to 5 jobs. They don't have the luxury to be, in the home with the children. And so we end up hiring help, and then they need to get specialized help, because you need to be able to then find a skilled person that can then, and that in itself is a challenge at times. So then you talk about things like respite services, where other countries have respite services, where, hopefully we can get to place it at here too, where we do have a model here where people hire and they have helpers in the home, but respite for a special needs child, you need a skilled person, and also they need, a system where it will give the families and the parents the break that they need. I mean, this is something I've researched already, and I've looked at in other places. I have family who live in the US, and for example, my sister's in Illinois, and when I researched it there, it was like respite there was where they provide through certain agencies, they will give you the support in your home. So it's not like you're just leaving your child with someone and you're taking off. It's a true respite in the house. Your child is there with someone. And this is where it could be limited for a lot of families here in Cayman, because if they don't have the financial means to provide, to get that help in the house, I can't even imagine what it's like for them working around the clock, having a child that may have some real serious physical needs. It could be quite stressful, and, probably really, really, really difficult for individuals.
I was going to ask what if based on the work that the organization has been doing, that there could be a lot of relationships that could be impacted by having someone in the family with autism, because they don't understand. There's usually a blame. And, that's another element of services that you could actually have to look at, because it can take a toll on relationships as well, I'm quite sure.
Oh yeah. And not just, partner relationships. It has an impact on even like aunts, uncles, grandparents. Like, you hear of so many situations where some people actually move away. They physically distance themselves because they don't want to deal with. They're like, oh, well, one, they're scared. They don't know what it is. Two, they're figuring, well, this seems like way too much, like I'm not going to deal with this. So those are things that definitely have to be addressed in our community, so that
families have the support
that they need in all of those areas. And just again, back to the education, back to the mental, health services, and being able to understand that, and it's for me, even just thinking about myself, like it was up and down for quite a long time. Having the support there is key to not only the parent, but especially for the individual, for the child, for the young adult. At the end of the day, it goes back to that person, that individual who is neurodiverse. And, mom's mood affects my child. That's any children. Mom and dad's mood, our situations affect our children directly. And if you have a child with a special needs and if you don't deal with the acceptance and the support, getting this right support, it could have a really huge negative impact.
There's a comment here. I read that the parents of autistic children and adults have similar stress levels as combat soldiers. The fatigue can be chronic, so respite care is so important.
Yes, it is important. And I, again, thinking back to the 1 week at camp, it was only 1 week. I was still skeptical as to, one, if we were going to get to the place where it ended up being successful. But the first day a parent walked in, and she was in tears. She was in tears because she was like, this is the first time, he's 7 years old, first time he's ever been at camp. And she's like, I cannot believe that I'm able to do this for a whole week. 5 days and over the summer for her child. But, we also understood his needs. And with, one of the things that we ended up realizing very quickly was that we wanted to provide almost like one adult to a small ratio to children.
The children adult ratio.
Right. It had to be small because otherwise we won't be able to do the outings and the things that we needed to do so that these kids everyone could have a fantastic time. And so midway through the week, I have to thank the other directors and the volunteers because we ended up getting 1-to-1 ratio.
Nice.
So we ended up getting enough adult volunteers. There were some teachers from different schools that came. They stayed with those one child for the day. And it wasn't taken away from their independence. It was like, hey, this is my companion for the day. This is my support. You're here to help me, have this conversation with me for those who are talking. But it was amazing because at the end of it, it really made the experience fantastic, not only for the children, but everybody involved.
Now, looking at collaboration with other government agencies, and we obviously seen medical professionals as well, and educators, how important is that for the success of what you're trying to do?
It's the key. It's the key to the success of everything we're doing. It's important for us, and that is kind of where I think we wouldn't approach anything if we did not have the ability to collaborate with individuals, professionals, and organizations. And even, we had the moving night, the CIG moving night, and we had panelists that evening. And there was a representative from the Sunrise Center. There was a speech therapist on the panel. There was another parent. There was a doctor. It was amazing to have parents in the audience. We went there to watch the movie, but at the end of the evening, they were able to ask questions to all these everyone's shared their story. The panelists shared their stories and their perspectives from each of their professions and each of their situations. And then the parents who were in the audience, or the family members, or the friends, they were able to ask questions from those experts. And it's those conversations that are going to continue to keep this momentum going for the neurodiverse community, and for these words and the things that people share to actually become an action, something that is going to be meaningful for them.
Well, happy Friday, Cayman. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about Autism Cayman, and the lady on the screen with me and my honorable guest this evening is Miss Desiree Tatum, who is chair lady of Autism Cayman. And they're going from advocacy to action. And Autism Cayman is definitely calling on all of us to show up. Yes.
Yes,
Not
please.
just with awareness, but also with intention to support this event right here that you're seeing. It's taking place on Saturday, the 1st of November from 2 until 5 p.m. And the tickets are $125. Now, if you think that's a lot, no, it's not. There's a reason why Desiree taken all of this time to put context to why it's important that we support organizations like this, because they don't get direct funding from government. They're a nonprofit organization. And through events like this, and through your participation, whether or not you attend the event, you're free to donate in time or in kind with your professional advice, or when you're hearing they're having events, you want to just go to accompany a child. You know what you're doing to that household to give them that breathing room for them to maybe just go and get their hair done, maybe go to the grocery shopping, hook up with a friend or extended family that they needed a one-on-one time, or just to hear themselves think. So I'm calling on each and every one of you this afternoon, from corporate to those individuals who want to give back to the community and support this worthy cause. Desiree, we got a caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. You're live.
Good evening.
Hi.
I don't know if I should say this or not, but I have a friend that have an autistic child, but they don't live here. But that's a sad situation. Every night I be thinking about him. I can't hardly sleep because, well, he's, all people say, a young man now because he's 35 years old, like my son.
Mm-hmm.
But and he don't talk, he don't speak, he just makes noise. Because when I talk to her, I can hear him through the phone and stuff, and she having it really hard with him. And she has to leave. What she said, once he got his tablet, he has a tablet that he can understand. He can, understand you, but he can't talk. He just be making a lot of noise, like rah, like that. Because sometimes when I talking to her, I hear her. I says he making too much noise. Are he close to you? And she'll say, well, call him Bob's in. And she'll say, well, Bob's in, and then he'll go out. But I see the picture with him. He's a nice looking young man, but she have it hard with him. And then another thing, she works selling at a school, and she has to leave him. Because I even tell her, I said, that's dangerous. I said, because he can't have a phone or nothing like that. Wow. And their house is grilled up and stuff. Sometimes she leaves him from 5 o'clock in the evening, lock up by himself till all late in the evening. I say, you don't have something happen to that child. And get out, you're going to go to jail. I tell her, I said, that's dangerous, You should help. That's ridiculous. And you got to see him, nice looking young man, talking, whatever, but he don't talk, he don't speak, he just makes noises. And he is autistic, and she says she has it hard. Sometimes she feels like she don't know what she's going to do because she don't have no help with him. And I even had sent a couple of dollars for her and stuff one time, but she really, but like I said, they're not on island here, so I guess it don't. But he is autistic.
My goodness. Well, we hope that she can get the help wherever she's at that this young man needs, because that's sad.
She don't have no for him, but he born in 1990. She say he had the same age as my son. My son born in 1935, but he's a young man. Nice, and it's so sad. I tell you, every night I be thinking about him and praying, say that I hope nothing do happen. Because I tell her, suppose something happen, like a fire or something, like, because she says that she has to like Milo, and she has to make this, and he don't eat many things. He chooses to eating, but she leaves his stuff on the stove, and she has this big jug of Milo and left for him and stuff. I say, yeah, but suppose a fire start or something. I say, and the house is grill up. How he can get out? He can burn up. By himself.
Go ahead, Des.
So much long hours from 5 in the morning till 6 in the evening sometimes. That's a long hours.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really sad situation, and I am not shocked by it, to be honest with you, because I couldn't do that. I would have to get somebody up in there with him. Right. And this is why we need to ensure that here within our community that we don't have situations like this where
Mm-hmm.
parents
And
or
what she
family
tell me,
members, feel that they
she
can't.
tell me he kind of violent. He'll hit you and stuff. He'll like if you get because she has to bathe him and stuff. Because one day she was showing me, I saw him, and she was calling him and something he was doing, and he go and she said he's strong like an ox. I said, well, I imagine, because them kind of children has a lot of strength.
Yeah.
And but I feel such a cute little young man. But my heart goes out to him. But he's 35.
Mm.
He is a young man now, but he don't talk at all. He just make noises,
He's
loud noise.
nonverbal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You
Thank
make no noise. He don't talk, she say. And I said, but he understands it. And she say, yeah, he can understand. When she tell him, she said, Bob, to come, it's time to bathe, or, he'll come like that if he want. But sometimes he'll like resist and stuff, but he don't talk, he don't say nothing. He can't say no words.
Mm.
And for adults too, it can become more and more isolating as they get older, because the net group becomes smaller because you're no longer in school. And then even though they're nonverbal, he probably still wants to be in the community, but he just isn't. He's home, and
she probably just kept him housed up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She never tried to.
Right. And that could affect the mental health.
Mm-hmm.
His mental health if he's just at home.
She got more children than him, and I guess they should help, but I don't know. In Jamaica, but I don't know. I don't know why they like that over there. She gets help from government, she said, for him, like, I guess, for food and stuff, but apart from that, I don't know. I don't understand why, because I'm sure they got more children out there like that, and they should help, whatever, I don't know. I saw her.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a sad case, but I hope that he gets the help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Michelle, Mom. Have a good weekend. Yeah, that, I'm wondering really, Desiree, how much people here are actually going through, and especially the older these persons, these individuals become, that there is no inclusion, there's no space, there's no ready to work program or to give them, because each, would you say that they're on the spectrum, like graded what they can and cannot do, but it's hard to even wrap your head around it.
It's a lot, but again, back to a purpose, having a purpose regardless of the limitation.
Yeah.
You could still have a purpose but have support, but then that costs money to have that support along there with you to be able to have that purpose. So whether it's a job somewhere and that job could be something that's repetitive and a task, but it's a purpose for that individual or that young adult. But maybe they can't do it on their own. So then you want them to have that purpose, but then you might not have to hire someone to be there with them. And that's something that I've seen within this community with some young adults. I've seen them out in the community, young adults, who are either limited communication or nonverbal.
Right.
And there is a spectrum of individuals, but sometimes, parents, again, it falls on them to provide that support. So once they leave school, I know Sunrise Center they showed us some of the programs that they've put in place to help employ, for example, young adults. But this is where we can collaborate with a government entity like that to help build and support existing systems, and then extend on it somehow. So one of the things that we started a discussion on was, the idea of that. The Cayman Art Week, which is a community and national event. Yeah. And then we found out quickly, hey, there's some young adults and young people who are kind of outside. They're at Sunrise Center. We had their clients who brought their artwork to the show. And then we were like, hey, do you want to sell it? But they didn't want to let it go quite yet. But this is something that they could do. They could sell their
an
art,
income. Yeah.
And they have a purpose, and this is their thing that they do. And then this could build into, hey, we're not just going to do it here at this event. We're actually going to do this, within the community, within the collaboration with, Craft Market, for example, and maybe with not just one particular organization like Sunrise Center, but the wider community and support that gap that's there. So again, it goes right back to how do we get them in the community? How do we these jobs for them, not just where it stops here as they age out of school, but beyond that and into adulthood, but give them the best quality of life that they can have. Because we talked about them being able to have that ability to be as independent as possible, but we want them to have a good quality of life. That's what I would love my son to have, and that's what my family has aimed for my son to have, is to have the best quality. Not just you're gonna just, you want him to have the best. I mean, who doesn't want the best for their children?
Of course.
So it's the same for anyone that has who's neurodiverse or has any sort of medical diagnosis that is kind of putting them on the outskirts of society, either indirectly or by the fact that there is not enough available to them. But it's key to understand that. Yeah. So.
But even with getting medical insurance coverage, that must be quite complicated.
Yes, it is.
If you don't have cynical, I'm quite sure their ratings would be high, wouldn't it?
Yes, the rating is high, and then you only have a certain amount of, like, for example, if it's speech therapy, there's only a limit on that you can get for the year. So then you end up having to pay in pocket. Cynical, I remember when in my personal case, my son, when he was small, I had cynical, and so I was able to get a lot of coverage through that particularly.
But for something that does not go away, even after they reach the age of 18, I'm quite sure continuation of coverage on the parents will have to continue, because they may not be in the position to be full-time employed based on law. That they would be independently covered by their own insurance.
But then now we're getting into a whole other thing, because the other thing is that in some countries as well, when you're 18, because you brought that up, in law.
No, we're educating here, because we got people, we speak insurance here.
This is the thing. This is something that has to be addressed, because what do you do as a parent? What do you do, and how do we help support the families and those individuals, ensuring that they have all the things that they need? It's not just a want.
Because this is a lifelong. I'm glad you said it at the beginning, that autism doesn't go away with age, or you eventually it'll just die out of your system, or it's not like a flu or a virus, or you understand?
Right.
This is something that is lifelong. So I'm quite sure that is something from a national standpoint, as the works began on immigration, on insurance, where some of these things were actually looked at, and it was looked at from mental health. I'm speaking from a place of knowing mental health to medication for a separate backup bucket, and for issues such as we're speaking here as well, because it's the same thing with dementia. They're already on the back foot, but now we're finding where persons at a younger age now is being diagnosed with dementia. So you can't say it's a seniors issue anymore. We're having younger people, not even 50, being diagnosed with dementia.
I know someone personally at 50 years old who's been diagnosed with dementia. So it's something that is definitely has to be addressed.
This is a national conversation, and I feel it needs to be expedited on exploring insurance from a national perspective, and looking at and that's going to require a collaboration again, private-public partnership, and understanding insurance, because we had
I saw that you had
that was so. But now this puts it to poor Nikki, she could be called again. But I would love to get her and a doctor on and see from the medical standpoint, insurance, how you bridge the gap, because you got to understand it. And even though they may have medical professionals rating the level of autism, as they get older, other things may start to break down. This is huge. But Desiree, it is, I think you guys you've opened a door. We need a call of action. And this is why you're being showcased here. You're being showcased here because you have an NPO. You're trying to launch this event to assist in getting funds And even if there are other NGOs out there who are listening that could share ideas, or could, some of your annual supporters saying, look, I know that you've been good. Have you heard about Autism Cayman? Who to tell? Some of these organizations may have staff or may have partners in their organization that know someone who is suffering with a neurodiversity or disorder. We don't know, but the purpose of this show was to inform, educate, bring awareness, but also a call to action, because I want you to reach out to Autism Cayman, go follow them on Instagram and Facebook, and more so, sponsor tickets, buy a book or something, or just go to eventpros and attend this event. Now, are you able to say like who the entertainers will be, that sort of stuff?
Not yet, but check out our social media pages. Not yet, but I will double check. I will make sure that it's okay, but you'll see it on Autism Cayman's Instagram and on our Facebook page. We will announce those entertainers. We will have a DJ that kind of matches the theme of the kind of tequila. We're going to have a live band, and maybe we'll have more, because people have just been coming up and saying, hey, how can we support them? So the bigger the party, the more support we get, the more fun we're going to have within that time, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. That's good. Miss Rose, we're going to go until 7 because I like speaking to Desiree, and we getting the word out. But it's really only about 15 minutes left anyhow.
I know. We've been talking away.
But she's saying it's a very important topic this evening. And I never thought, again, it's how it's being delivered. There's so much out here, Desiree, that people are hungry for knowledge. Look at what Shaka Zulu is sharing. It's extreme exposure to excessive sugar linked to to early onset of dementia. And again, these are all topics that, we could probably bring some experts on at various times to speak on these disorders, if I'm saying right. Because even using the right terms, Desiree, you got to be careful.
I know it's tricky.
I don't want to insult anybody.
No, you've heard. I've been very, very aware of the language I'm using when I speak about autism and neurodiverse individuals and their underlying medical conditions and so forth. But the thing is that there are medical issues, and even this person talked about sugar. One of the things on my personal journey with my son was diet. Diet had a huge impact on his well-being, holistic medical support. So, talk again about expenses. I found a medical doctor in Tampa who had he's a pediatrician. He had a holistic approach to helping people who had, special needs, individuals and adults. And one of the first things that we looked at was his diet. And we realized that he, had to stay away from gluten, lots of different kinds of like supplements for him as he was growing older. So those are things that, from a medical standpoint, because he did have a lot of digestive issues, as soon as those things change within his life, there was you can see an immediate change in the way that he was, his behavioral issues that he was having. He displayed a lot of issues, because he was unwell and he couldn't express that he was unwell. He couldn't express it. My tummy hurts and, this kind of thing. So diet has been key to help it. And also it's beneficial for him anyways, because, you want him to have a long lasting, healthy life for as long as he can. And teaching those skills from early on is important. So there's a lot of information out there. And I hopefully, as we continue to have this conversation, we can share some of the knowledge. And like I said, it's not, this diet thing is from a pediatrician who specializes with special needs individuals. And I am speaking to some parents, I know that they've also had, I see someone said picky eaters. It's true. Picky eaters. My son only ate fries, white chicken breast, and steak for years.
What?
Yeah. And soon as he went to, actually it was the camp. It was the week of camp. And because I think he just had such an amazing time, it just opened his world to the fact that he can climb a mountain. He could, go on a, whitewater rafting and these kind of things. Like he was able to do this with the proper support. Almost immediately he started to explore lots of different things, like different types of foods. Almost immediately. He was eating rice and beans. He was, he was sampling everything. I mean, still gluten-free, but he sampled, pretty much everything, where he was extremely restricted for that time. So I would say don't give up on them. I know it's picky eaters. It's something that could be really hard for some families, because imagine you have a household and you're having to make this specific meal for that person or child, and not everyone's going to eat that. So you sometimes end up having to, like what happened to me, I have to make 2-3 meals sometimes because of it.
And that,
so it could be stressful on a family eating situation. I mean, people wouldn't think that that's a stress, but it can be.
It can be.
It can be, but I mean, luckily for me, Gabriel, his eating habits have changed and it's gotten much, much better. But in sleep is another thing. I've spoken to a lot of families.
Talk me through that, because they don't necessarily go down when everybody goes down. I mean, their whole sleep pattern can be when you're at work, they're sleeping, and when you go home to like cut it off, then that's when their day begins. Tell us about that.
So the back again to the fact that I had this pediatrician in Tampa, that a holistic pediatrician that he saw annually, that changed his diet. That helped with the medical side of things. He does have a neurologist as well that my son sees. But with that, I think his sleep improved. But he didn't sleep for 7 years until he was 7 years old. And I know of families.
What do you mean he didn't sleep?
Like, he wouldn't sleep through the night. He would sleep for 3 hours at a time, 4 hours at a time, wake up, stay up for an hour or two, go back to sleep. So the sleep was extremely disruptive. And then, of course,
that does to you, that impacts you as well.
Yeah, it impacts everyone in the household. It impacts, I mean, even him the next day, his mood and the things at school. So, it's very, very difficult. And I've met some individuals where they're adults and their teenage children are still not sleeping through the night, and they haven't been able to have a proper night's rest in the house. I know the situation where they've had to alternate, where they've had to, one person would stay up and the other person is sleeping, and then they alternate so that everyone in the household at some point gets some rest. But when they're up, they're either grazing looking for food, or they could just be, roaming around. Like, it happens. And, these are, again, things that impact families fundamentally. And it's such a struggle. But I would say don't give up. There's hope. There's information out there that can help families, and it can get better. And I'm talking from personal experience. It gets better. But again, the key is to make sure that you find the resources, as much resources as you can. But of course, we're here as a platform, Autism Cayman, where we can help bridge that gap with information and share the knowledge that we have. As we're not experts, but we're parents, and we understand.
You're living it. You're living it.
Yeah.
Okay. Gonna give your voice box a little break. Miss Shelma is back. You're live.
You see what I just said, Mom, about my friend that her son, yes, what Sarah said. She said he's a picky eater, right? He don't eat any and everything, but he likes this Milo. She has to leave this jug of Milo for him when she leaves. And she said if she put something on the table that he don't want, he not gonna touch it. He gonna just look on it and walk away. And that's another thing she said that he don't want, you can't go into his room. He don't want nobody into his room. He don't want sleep. Sometimes she tried to get him to like sleep with her and thing, but he don't want nobody. He don't want nobody to sleep with him, and he don't want nobody in his room. Yeah, she said that's how he is too. Yeah, he want to be by himself. If you go into his room, he gets mad and start to make a lot of noise, and you have to come out.
Oh boy.
Yep. Thank you. Well, there we got, this puts a different perspective on it, Desiree. And thank you. As Connie said here, she's very confident. That's you. You're very confident and well-educated and versed on this topic. You go, girl. I applaud you. And yeah, we're definitely going to do that.
Thank you.
But it takes a lot. You see where Jasaria is saying, my daughter used to run off and bang her head also. Thank God for early intervention and therapy. Oh my goodness. No one understands what that life must be like, but kudos to you guys for being there, honestly, and understanding that your role, your responsibility, because it's so easy for, some irresponsible parents just having a tantrum on their own and not realizing the child should be the center of getting the help that they need, the necessary therapies, the necessary medication. But my heart goes out to those parents because we're not getting younger.
Right, right,
What
right.
happens when
Yeah.
you become the senior
And I have
and
to say
they're
that,
still in
yeah.
their prime?
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things that, I always think about as a parent. You always think, oh, you want to be there forever, to be the
Mm-hmm.
person to support your child, but the reality of that is not going to happen. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to have. So then the question comes in is what supports are in place,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're not in place, what needs to happen so that
Mm-hmm.
because we know the statistics has gone up there, the number of individuals who are on the spectrum who are diagnosed now,
Mm-hmm.
it's real. There's more within our community, and they're going to be adults, and there are adults already, and parents have
Right.
this worry right now, and they're trying to put things in place, and it puts a strain on the family, it puts a strain financially. So what is it that we need to do within our community to ensure that these individuals who become adults, and once we're gone, that they're taken care of, and that
Mm-hmm.
they have a place?
Continuum. You know what kind of peace of mind that is for you as a
Right,
parent?
right. So that's a long-term goal for me personally, but
Yeah.
also part of what Autism Cayman, can speak to and help support.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But again, I appreciate the comment that I understand the topic. I'm an expert on my son who's
Mm-hmm.
who's autistic. And there are lots of experts in our community. So there are parents who, maybe because of ignorance, maybe they don't understand, their children, and they haven't had the resources to become educated on this topic, or the desire for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. But there's people right now who can, and I ask you, and I please reach out to us, because the expertise is here. We have it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to share that. We need to be able to share our stories and be able to figure out how do we, as a group,
Navigate.
how do
Mm-hmm.
how do we as a group have the impact that we need to have,
Mm-hmm.
not just want, do we need to have for our children, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they are in a lot of ways unable to do that for themselves.
Correct. Now, wow, I can't believe this. It's almost 10 to 7.
Me neither.
What's you see how easy it is? And you were stressing about how
I
long.
was so
I thought you
nervous,
had
and
like another. No.
I was stressed. I was like, how long is it going to be?
No. That's one thing I have gotten from everyone. Miss Sabrina, you make this conversation so easy.
It's so true.
Because
Yes.
we're and the family of Sabrina Speaks, the CMR family, trust
Yes.
me, they got our
Thank
back.
you.
So there's no need for you to be nervous. You are all family here. We're sharing the knowledge. And it's amazing how therapeutic this may be for you, because when was
Oh,
the
yes.
last time, Desiree?
I've had so much to say, and it's just pouring out of me.
When was the last time anybody even asked you, how are you?
Yeah, it's true. You don't hear that quite often, do you? And that's a thing that I think a lot of parents who are
Mm-hmm.
going through this would love to hear is, how are you today?
Mm-hmm.
So even just having that quick conversation can go a long way. Those kind words, even if you can't give more than that, it can
Correct.
go a long way. And we know that,
Mm-hmm.
so
So what's your personal vision for Autism Cayman over the next few years? I know we've covered a lot. And but what's really your personal vision for Autism Cayman over the next few years?
I think the personal vision that I have is that we build something that is going to be long lasting, that is going to, I've said it numerous times, have a direct impact on those people that need it, to be able to fill those gaps in areas that we are supporting the community in the right way. And that's just about me and what I want. This
Mm-hmm.
is going to be a community effort, and
Mm-hmm.
we need to have programs in place that are going to benefit the wider community. If I were to leave the organization continues because we've built a strong foundation and we have the core, our core values there. That is something that is going to be long lasting. It's going to help individuals within the community, and because we see it all the time, directors change, they come and they go, but it has to be something that is going to stay and it's going to build so that, as we said earlier, it's going to be across their lifespan, because we just talked about it. The fact that when I'm gone, what is going to happen to my son? How is he going to be supported? What is there in Cayman, in our community? And that's another thing that we've encountered. There's been families who've literally picked up and left because they said, I'm going to get help somewhere else because I'm frustrated. I need more for my child. But then I know of a situation where they've returned because they didn't get the services they thought that they were going to get somewhere else. So we need to build what our existing systems up and put new systems in place, new resources in place, support in place that is going to help on all of those areas, but especially the homes and the family members, the individuals themselves.
Okay. Now, if you could leave our listeners with one message about neurodiversity and community, what would it be?
Sorry, say that again.
If you, this is like the final answer for the judgment. If you could leave our listeners with one message about neurodiversity and community, what would it be?
That Cayman, at our core, there's a lot of things that people say, but at the end of the day, we have a foundation of community support, volunteerism, kindness, and that is something that we have to spread and make it known to the neurodiverse community, that we don't want to put them somewhere separate, keep them, or you just stay home. It has to be embedded and they're part of our community. They're going to be in our community. They're going to be in the grocery stores. They're going to be on, maybe in the buses. They're going to be out with parents, want to be able to go out in public with their children, whether they're young or whether they're adults. And, this idea that, inclusion, again, I go back to that it's people just need to understand that they are different. That doesn't mean that they're less. And they deserve a good quality of life, not just any kind of they deserve a good quality of life, just like any other person.
Right.
That requires maybe a different level of service. And then, of course, we know with service and skill, that requires money and to be able to give them that kind of life. So, yeah.
Now I'm going to give you an opportunity for a final plug. Nobody advertises your event better than you.
Yes, please. Tea and Tequila is coming up. That's the theme for this year. It's going to be exciting. It's on Saturday, the 1st of November, 2 to 5 p.m. Please, I ask you to either, if you can't make it, spread the word, let others know this is happening. It's right after the 31st of October. We know what's happening that evening, but you can still make it on Saturday to our Tea and Tequila event. This is going to be fun, exciting, and we can continue the conversations. This is not just a chance for us to, enjoy the music and enjoy the food and the drinks, but it's an opportunity to, again, build our network, have your voices being heard, share ideas, network and collaborate and just have some good Cayman fun.
That's right. And I found a picture.
Oh, yay!
When you saw me on the side, I'm like, I know I had that picture. I know I had that picture.
Yay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So it wasn't all about, we were just talking, Miss Sabrina were there. I really was there. I got up early that morning and oh my God, I went and it was, I really enjoyed it.
The whole day. And it was quite a day. You know what? But it was amazing because even though it was a long day, most people, they stayed to the end The speakers did such a fantastic job. Again, all volunteers, people who have
Mhm.
other jobs outside of, this event.
Right.
And they gave up their time, they gave up their expertise. It was such a fantastic time. And there you are.
But I was just so, Betsy is asking for this event. What is the
Oh.
dress code?
Oh, dress up nice. Of course. You're going to be out having some tea and some drinks. And we want to have I don't want to say it's a formal event, but definitely dress like you're, going out to a party. So
Yeah, there we
yeah.
go. And it's that season anyhow. The holidays are fast approaching. Why not?
Yes,
I mean, for something like this, tea and tequila, for 125, why not just do
Yes, dress up nice,
it should be cool as well. So
Yeah.
so it should be a nice evening. And I
Nice.
want to wish you all success, Desiree.
Thanks so
Please
much.
don't be a stranger. And
I won't.
hopefully maybe just before I'll touch base with you again to give you an opportunity to give us an update as to
Yes,
how the
we'll do that.
sponsorship is going, and to let us know some more, because we want to share what's there, like a final almost call for persons for sponsorships or to buy those tickets. Because whether or not you're corporate, you purchase a ticket, you're donating, you're contributing. So
Yes.
every bit helps. But I just want to thank you for taking the time out, for even acknowledging or wanting to be on this platform. It is
I have been
my
wanting
honor.
summer, but after the camp, I have to be honest, I was exhausted. I was like, I need a break because it was a busy summer. Then I was going back into work. So yes, I've been wanting to come in and speak with you. I knew that from the beginning you were a supporter of us, and
Huge.
truly thank you for the opportunity to be on your show tonight.
You're more than welcome, my love. I realize my purpose, and I'm using this space, and I'm hoping that we can educate, inform, and I'm hoping that the next time around when we do actually bring up this topic on autism, that we can have, maybe through your contacts, your resources, maybe one of those presenters at that event to break it down in simple terms for us, like really high level, but in layman's terms, so that people can get away, at least from that episode, take away with them how to easily identify where it's derived, because there is still research that is trying to find out where this came from.
I know.
It's cutting edge, because there's still stuff that they're finding out about autism as we speak. So it's cutting edge. And since then, and where we are, because you could say it was almost at the end of the year, what medical breakthroughs have they made? And, there's always hope. And if you want to bring maybe another mom on for a testimonial or something, it's yours. You got
I would love that. And there's so much opportunities for us to, like you said, go into the medical side of it, because that's
and educate
huge part of it. And a lot of people are unaware of that there is that big medical side to autism. It's not just a behavioral issue, as some people think it is, or a neurological issue, but there's definitely so many areas that we can educate people about this situation and this topic.
I see Miss Rose say, I was a teacher at Sunrise Center. It was very rough dealing with those adults, but I made it through my working period. It taught me a lot. You have to work with them. You stay strong, girl, and have a good evening. Oh, that's sweet.
You too.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you
that's
so
somebody. That's somebody who knows, eh? But Desiree, thank you so much for this very sobering, informative conversation. And like I said, you would have never thought this would have been therapy for you.
It is. I didn't realize I had so much to say.
See? I can say you're welcome.
Thank you. Applause.
Let's do it. We can do it. I'm finding all of these new things, child.
Next time we need some musical instruments here.
But maybe time we can get those Mexican and
Please,
maybe I find a sombrero. Who to tell? Knowing me. Anyhow, my love, you have a fabulous weekend.
You too.
All the best for you in getting these sponsors. And again, don't be a stranger. Where we can help, we will. All righty.
All right, have a good evening.
Take care. Likewise, my love.
Bye.
Sure. There you have it. I hope that you all are enjoying. Yes, she is, Connie. She is so pleasant. Love her personality. Yes, she is a gem. And Desiree, our thoughts are with you, girl. And keep up the great work. And I'm hoping that that organization gives you strength, because you realize now that we are able to identify what it's like in your world, and how strong you have to be in order to actually go through this. I can't tell you I can relate. I don't know. And this is why my part is being able to showcase persons and organizations like Autism Cayman, and have persons like even yourself, Cesaria, to let us know what it's like. We don't know. I mean, it's totally up to you. But to have persons who can come on and speak from a place of knowing. But we continue to inform and educate here on this space. And I hope that this interview today reminded us that, inclusion isn't just a concept, but it's real. And when you think about all of what you all are going through, it just says a lot. And I'm hoping that Autism Cayman is showing us what that looks like. I hope that just inclusion is key, and we have to be more together. But Desiree's leadership, her passion, her love, her entire personality, as you can see, is a testament to what happens when advocacy meets action. And I hope that you can all purchase your tickets, go down there and celebrate in this event. And let's see what we can do as a community here. So whether you're a parent or a policymaker or a teacher or just someone who cares this moment, I want you to visit autismcayman.ky, go and grab your ticket, make a donation. And just like what Desiree said, start the conversation, because inclusion begins with intention, and it doesn't stop here. I'm remiss of me this week, for all of my people in Kim and Brack, Booba Point community fundraiser. Let's get together for Philip. You may wonder, who's Philip? Yeah, Philip, that gentleman is, there's a GoFundMe page, and they're trying to do assistance for Philip. That's Pastor Turner's son, Brother Turner in Spot Bay, Kim and Brack, his son. Everybody knows, no direct relationship to me. No, he's not family. Everyone knows the history there in Kim and Brack. Pastor Turner, his son had a medical emergency, and his medical bills are wrapping up, are really skyrocketing. And the Booba Point Committee fundraiser are coming together to help Philip. And Philip Turner, that is tomorrow, from in Spot Bay Community Park. They're going to be selling food to fundraise, and all proceeds will go towards his hospital expenses. So we want to make sure that we help Philip, and I'm hoping that persons will see this. I'll also post this on the Sabrina Speaks Facebook page to help us celebrate this. Miss Valda Scott, thank you for leading the charge here, and I know you food good. Oh yeah. Wonder if you have cassava cake. But you can see for orders or more information, you can give them a call, 345-917-6728, or even if you want to donate in general, you can call for more information, 917-6728. That's 917-6728 for more information. The attendee fundraiser will bring your family out. They're asking, make a donation, cash or even goods. Businesses sponsored by dry foods, raffle prizes, or supplies. So anything you can do to help the Booba Point community fundraiser to help Philip. He has done a phenomenal job in beautifying Spot Bay. He loves to do a lot of art. He likes to take driftwood and see fans and decorate the place. And he has really, really, really done a big job in community work there in Cayman Brack. That's Philip. That's him. See, I love Spot Bay, and he's very active with the Spot Bay committee there. But he just unfortunately had a medical emergency. Those bills are racking up, and we're hoping that you can make this event a success for him. Let's go to someone. Thank you for sharing your platform and assisting in the outreach, education, and communication of such an emerging topic. Thank you, Desiree Powell. Oh, you did great. Oh, yes, she did phenomenal. And you know what? You know you have gotten the golden ticket when you get one of these. Yeah, that's for you, Desiree. You got a kaboom. What a wonderful charity supporting families in Cayman. Yes, I agree, Sarah. Yes, yes, yes. And even in the sister islands, we can do this as well. For those of you who, again, wanting to hear about this, I was supposed to do this from yesterday. For some reason, it just slipped me. My apologies there. But please give them a call, 917-6728. Should it even be just utensils, we know how important it is to help out in these cause, to help one another, because we can fall on hardships at any time, and sickness is for anybody. You never know. And here's another image of Philip just enjoying doing community work there. This is at another event. You know, when they call those Cayman Brac, they usually have these events. Oh gosh, what do you call it? In Christmas, where they have all of these events. Phillips was one of those that he was always in the front of the line helping, and he makes one hell of a dessert. He loves to bake. He loves, yeah. Philip this is exactly who Philip is. So why not just go and help out with this fundraiser tomorrow? But it has been a phenomenal week. Thank all of you for sticking with me. And again, through the proud sponsorship of International Lighting. Yes. So we want to definitely close this powerful conversation and the future that they're shaping. And let's raise a toast to two Caymanian pillars, Autism Cayman and International Lighting. Yeah, from advocacy to ambience. Both are lighting the way forward. Today marks, again, well, no, not today. That was yesterday. Marks 39 years of brilliance of International Lighting, and their anniversary sale is still going on. It ends tomorrow. So don't miss your chance to stock up on those area rugs, bed and bags, and those fluorescent type t-shirts for all of you guys who are working in the construction. You can go down there to Edward 194 North Sound Road. They open from 9 a.m. until 6, and while supplies last. And as tea and tequila reminds us, every voice matters. So let's keep listening, let's keep supporting, and let's continue creating spaces where everyone matters and can live in dignity. Until Monday, I'm looking forward to bringing you another informative discussion, and I'm holding it down for the next 2 weeks. Definitely, I'm keeping on my game to keep you in touch with what's I get and making sure that we have informative discussions to keep you entertained and definitely informed. Please have a safe weekend. And Miss Rose, I could be a good girl. I could stay home. Miss Rose, and I'm going nowhere. I promise. I'm not going nowhere, Miss Rose. So you got your wish. Until Monday, have a safe and fabulous Friday and happy weekend. Love you lots.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.